All right, all right, all right. This is for all those weeping European men of power. Or Search Labs slash AI overview. As of May 23rd, it was estimated that 4.5 million people died in U.S. wars since 2001, 9/11. This includes the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. Explanation: over 7,000 U.S. service members died in the post 9/11 wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. Approximately 177,000 allies in the national military and police from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, and Syria also died. Western allies like the UK, Germany, and Canada also suffered significant human costs. I don't know what that means. They don't give a figure of dead from those three. So far, there is a figure between 174 and 420,000 dead in Ukraine since 1922, since the invasion. So that's one Russian war. The Second Chechen War, which was till 2009, 1999, 2009, outside estimate, 240,000 civilians and the military, both sides. 2014, annexation of Crimea, 14.5 thousand. Quote, in Iraq, the U.S. invasion and occupation beginning in 2003 and later military operations against the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria beginning in 2014 have compounded the ill effects of decades of harmful U.S. policy actions towards Iraq since the 1960s, including economic sanctions in the 1990s that were devastating for Iraqis. Despite billions committed to aiding and reconstructing Iraq, many parts of the country still suffer from lack of essential infrastructure. Quote, the U.S. post 9/11 wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Syria, Yemen, and Somalia have taken a tremendous human toll. The total death toll in these war zones, including direct and indirect deaths, is at least 4.5 to 4.7 million and counting. Of these, an estimated 408,000 civilians died directly from war violence. Precise mortality figures remain unknown. Okay. 6 U.S. presidential terms, split evenly, 3 each, Democrat, Republican, since 9/11. Same period, one Putin. He is a dictator after all. My comparison is not of these men, it is of the body count of 4 presidents presiding over the killing of 4.5 to 4.7 million human beings. Does it make a difference to the millions that their killers were democratically elected by a people who demanded no commitment to peace of them? Niet. In my world, calling Putin a horrible dictator is absolutely fine. But what do I make of these 4 prezzies? Imagining the Russian people are so enthralled to their short capo seems more a reflection of America's hagiography of leaders, which has always been uncomfortably since the founding, messianic. I would say at the outside, the Russians are responsible for 675,000 dead since 9/11. Almost half being Russian, while the US is at 4.6 million, roughly. Not including the arming of Israel and Ukraine and the culpability therefore attached. And as the article says, and counting, with huge numbers ill, mostly children, from malnutrition, but not dead yet. It has to be possible to acknowledge this. These realities. Establish Putin as the committer of many crimes. That's okay. If that's what you need to do, go ahead and do it, as long as you can also admit how minor his actions are compared to the exceptional acts of the Western powers. That level of projecting evil elsewhere has not been attempted since the Crusades. It's not healthy. And I can understand it only one way, a possibly natural retarded spirit that must find one's nation sinless in order to exist as a person. It is the most toxic, weakest end of patriotism and or racism, an inability to individuate even the smallest amount and to stay wallowing in an infantile snit because Santa is not real. Except in the imagination where I love him too. We have a responsibility to 4.7 million and counting to grow up. The last refuge to which a scoundrel clings. Yesterday I heard someone say, in his scholarly opinion, religions were invented to make it possible to live together in groups of more than 50. Interesting. Is patriotism a secular form of that religion? If a man says, I will defend my country right or wrong, I feel I have heard the truth. He's being honest. If we say we defend our country because it is right, always, we are having a faith in our country, any old country, that just doesn't stand up. The faith is diseased. The convictions and the declarations around Europe right now are not those of rational people. If the various Danes, Brits and French were to say they need NATO because they just don't like Russians, we'd be in honest if medieval territory. They don't say that. They say Putin is evil and we want to keep supplying Ukraine to continue dying against Putin in our stead. If they sent troops, they'd be truly medieval. Pope Urban II did not say, Oi, I say, you Christians in Syria, would you mind awfully attacking Saladin? Yes, we'll send lots of horses and lots of spears and have your leader round to dinner. End quote. He called on Europe to put the knights where their mouths were. I know, World War III and all that. How convenient. There are very good reasons why regime change is against the international law. A law passed, by the way, after the Euro binge of regime changing in the New World. Be honest, like my combatant yesterday, he needs to believe that Western civilization is the best, the one, the only, ever, the Uber alles. So anything can be done to anyone who disagrees. I hope he's amusing company because he will be surrounded by others just like him forever. What fun, sitting together like virtue-signaling Democrats, accusing Putin of Satanism. They're not quite synonymous, and winning the killing war by a mile, all because they cannot be a person. The Russian numbers come from several sources and are consensus, and I have chosen the maximum estimates. The US numbers are also consensus from two main sources, Watson Institute for Public Affairs at Brown University and World Future Fund, and I chose the minimum estimates.